Alright, welcome back everyone. My name is Travis I'm here at Whispering Pines Coturnix Quail. Today we're going to be using up the pasta that we made in our last video, and we're going to be making my version of carbonara. So with this I am going to use some ham, about a half a cup of ham, and some sun-dried tomatoes. I would use quail, but unfortunately my quail are not big enough yet and I would have a lot of angry viewers. So we're going to be using some ham, some sun-dried tomatoes. So what you're going to need for this is, of course, our pasta. We're going to need a quarter cup of diced onion, the half a cup of ham, 8 quail eggs, which I've already got scrambled up here, a quarter cup of mozzarella cheese, and a quarter cup of Parmesan, so that would be 4 tablespoons of each. I've got a little bit of garnish. I just did some cherry tomatoes and some feta cheese to go over the top. And then at the same time as I'm cooking the pasta, I'm actually gonna, what I learned to do is I'm gonna have some asparagus with it. So I'm gonna actually cook my pasta and asparagus together. So let's get started. I've already got my hot water here. I'm just going to turn that up a little bit. I am going to take and close the cover for one. Put a little bit of salt in there. So that's going. I'm going to add my pasta. So now when I go to add my pasta, I want to kind of stretch it out and then add it so that it's not all clumped together. Otherwise, you're just going to get a big glob of it. And I'm going to shake off the excess flour. Put a cover on that. This over here. So now, if you've never cooked asparagus before, move this around a little bit. Let me get this all ready. So when you have asparagus, you're going to only actually eat 3/4 of it. The rest of it, this part is so woody that you're not going to want to eat it. So I'm going to clean these up real quick. And how you do that is just literally you take and hold the bottom and you bend it until it snaps. That's the good part. This is the bad part. Some of these may be too long to fit in my pot, but so we're going to get rid of them. Now that these are ready to go, I'm going to let these cook for just a few minutes, and then I'm actually going to add my asparagus right on top of the pasta. I know some of you may cringe, but that's just the way I do it. I found that it just doesn't hurt anything, doesn't change the flavor whatsoever. And get this guy back in the pot. Okay. Now I'm going to start on my carbonara. Our pan hot. I'm just going to put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom. So the utensils that you're going to need for this are going to be a pair of tongs, preferably rubber spatula if you're using a Teflon. If you're using just a regular pan, you can use this style metal ones, but you don't want to take and use the metal ones for what we're going to do here because it's going to scrape off the Teflon and it's not going to be a great day. The other thing that you're going to need is some sort of a ladle, because we're going to need about a 1/4 cup-ish of the pasta water. So we're going to add our onions, and it's boiling over. Alright, we got that crisis averted here. Turn that down a little bit. I'm actually going to add my asparagus on top. These cook in a matter of minutes, so don't need to worry about them too much. Fold them down. Well, the nice thing about asparagus is that it's long, it's going to be easy to pick out of the water, and that's the only reason I actually do this together. Onions a little bit. Okay, so now we got, our onions are just starting to get translucent, so we're going to add our ham. Now you can cube ham, you can, I like the julienne because I like just a little bit, the bigger texture of it. Let that saute for a minute. As I'm doing that, I'm going to add my 4 tablespoons of each of the cheeses directly to my quail eggs. And I'm going to mix that all together. Now, alright, so we're just about ready here. Turn that down. Now we're going to add some of our sun-dried tomatoes to this. And this is all up to you how much you add of your sun-dried tomatoes. I really like sun-dried tomatoes, so I'm going to add a bit of them to them. And I would say that's probably 2 or 3 tablespoons. Now the one thing I'll tell you, you don't want to add your garlic until right before you add your pasta, because if your garlic starts to brown and you burn it, it's going to get a real bitter flavor to it. So I think we're about good. I'm going to add, I like garlic, I'm going to add about a rounded teaspoon to it. Now I'm going to pull my asparagus out of here quick. Put it on my plate. And then what I always do is I just take the lid and I'll cover the asparagus with the lid, and that keeps it hot. Now comes the fun part. So now we're going to add our pasta. Now I'm not scraping on the bottom of the pan here, so that's why I was just kind of moving everything around. I'm going to keep the pan or the hot water nearby because we may need it. Make sure I got everything mixed in here pretty good. Now I want to be able to see a little bit of my water on the bottom because when I add the egg to it, I don't want the egg to really scorch. So now I've got everything mixed in here. Got my sun-dried tomatoes, everything's up at a nice boil in here. Now I'm going to turn the heat off. That's very important. You want to make sure you don't have your pan on, because if you have your pan on, it's going to scramble the eggs. So you're going to add this in. Take your spatula and mix everything together. So now this is where you can adjust your thickness of your sauce. As you can see, it's really thickening up here. It's not just water on the bottom. And what's cooking the eggs is the hot water and the hot pan. If I were to put heat on this, it would scramble. And as you can see, I have no heat on. And look how nice and cheesy that is. So I'm going to take and move that over. I'm going to grab my washcloth real quick. Clean up my area here. These are the sink. Alright, so now we can start plating up our pasta. So we got our asparagus. I'm going to make sure I get some of our just a couple of our cherry tomatoes for some color. A little bit of feta cheese over the top. And there you go, guys. Pasta carbonara with some asparagus, all ready to go. As always, from my house to yours, have a great day and God bless.